This is Orlando Sentinel Now.
Hello, it's Wednesday, March 30. Rich Pope here with Matt Palm and Katie Rice, and today we're going to talk about the tragic death of the 14-year-old that fell at Icon Park. Also, we're going to look at Orlando Broadway season and Cats return, the longtime Broadway musical. We'll find out about that. All right, Katie, we're going to talk about this tragic death that happened at Icon Park. Some new information coming out. What do we know?
Yeah, Rich. So I talked with the cousin of the young man who died yesterday, and she said that he called her right before he got on the ride. He had apparently tried to ride the other rides at the complex and adjacent to the complex. He tried the Orlando Slingshot, he tried the Orlando Starflyer, but he was apparently turned away from both. And then when he tried to ride the Orlando Freefall, he was let on. Now, he weighed, according to the cousin, around 340 pounds, and the weight limit for the attraction, according to the ride manufacturer's manual, is 287 pounds. And his cousin believes that the ride attendants just looked him over to make sure that he appeared to meet the specifications and let him on without any further review. Now, I've contacted the Slingshot group, and they haven't given me any comment beyond what they've already said publicly. But the cousin believes it is a complete tragedy and wants justice, understandably.
So Tyre Sampson, that was the young man that died on the ride. His family members obviously asking for justice, but they actually want this ride to be shut down at this point.
Yes, that's what they're telling me. They're telling me that they want the ride to be shut down. His cousin, Shay Johnson, told me that she doesn't want any other family to go through the same kind of tragedy that they're experiencing right now. I went down to the memorial site yesterday, which is right outside of the ride. The ride is now fenced off as the investigations into the incident continue. And there are many poster boards out there. There are people signing them, calling for justice, almost like a petition. I'm aware that the family was circulating a petition, I believe, Monday night. It's unclear whether they've turned that into authority, what they plan to do with the petition, but there's a strong demand to close the attraction from the general public and from the family as well.
Yeah, and this asking to close this ride is actually coming from Icon Park as well.
The ask to close the ride is an indefinite closure. So both the Orlando Freefall and the adjacent Orlando Slingshot, they're very close to each other, are closed indefinitely as investigations continue. The Orlando Starflyer, which is not located on Icon Park property but is adjacent, is still operating. But basically, Icon Park has asked that both rides remain closed, of course, pending the investigation, and also until both rides can be proven to operate safely.
So that is with the intention that the ride, if everything's okay, could open back up.
As far as we know, that appears to be a possibility.
Okay, tell me about also other events happening last night. It looked like family went out again to walk past the site. What do we know about that?
So Shay Johnson told me that her family was organizing a walk around the memorial site, kind of in remembrance of her cousin Trey. The memorial has grown in recent days. People have been leaving teddy bears, candles. I saw a lot of balloons, of course, signing those posters, leaving pictures of Trey. So the family hosted a memorial walk around the area to kind of keep the case very public and show that they are still working toward justice for their cousin and their son.
All right. Well, more information on that one on OrlandoSentinel.com, and of course, more updates as we get more information. All right, moving forward here to Matt Palm. So Matt Palm, a long-running Broadway show came to Orlando last night, and you said you got to see it through wiser eyes, and it kind of changed your perception of it. How so?
Well, Rich, it's almost embarrassing to admit that you suddenly, in the middle of Cats, had some sort of reflection on mortality and life and death, and maybe hacked up a fur ball in the middle of it. But Cats is in town. And, we all know that the high point of Cats, I should say we all know, but anyone who knows anything about theater knows, the high point of Cats is the singing of Memory. It's one of Andrew Lloyd Webber's best known songs. It's a song that has transcended musical theater. I mean, everyone, if you know Memory, you know Memory. But the thing is, it's a beautiful song. It's really about the idea of getting older, reflecting on your life. And I suddenly found myself doing that during this production. The entire show is kind of leading up to this moment about navigating your life, your health, how you live. I mean, I had deep thoughts in Cats, Rich. It's kind of a crazy time. I don't know what's going on here in the world. Maybe COVID, the pandemic, it really has changed us all.
Yeah, I mean, one thing with this performance, obviously long running, how did they keep it fresh? Did it feel fresh? Obviously, you said your perception of it has changed, but does the show still feel fresh?
Yes and no. That's one of the interesting things about it. it definitely has a nostalgic quality. Cats is from the early 1980s. It was one of the first shows as part of that big British musical invasion, Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables. These big shows came over from London that sort of changed what was going on Broadway. And even the very opening of Cats has a sort of an old-fashioned overture before the action starts. And you hear the synthesized keyboardy kind of sound that was, the sound of the 80s. And you think, oh, yeah, this is, we're going back. But at the same time, Cats was recently revived on Broadway 5 or 6 years ago. And this tour is based on that revival staging. So some of the choreography was updated and feels fresher. In fact, the choreographer who updated it is the choreographer of Hamilton. So that gives you an idea of, going for a slightly different vibe. And it's not too different. I mean, they're still acting like cats. That's the point. You got these people in cat costumes. But there was a sense that it's a little more contemporary maybe than it had been.
Yeah, I find it interesting in your review last night, and you don't say this in a bad way, but the show remains extremely bonkers, is how you put it. And in some ways, that's what's endearing about it.
Yeah, I mean, part of the show, it's one of those shows you watch in a sense of what is happening in front of me? Why are these people singing about, how you should address your cat? And, it doesn't shy away from any of the weirdness that made Cats cats. And, maybe I'm just older and wiser, but it was just a little fun to revisit it, crazy as it all is.
Would you recommend it as far as from a theater critic perspective? Would you recommend seeing it again?
Ooh, tough one.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing, Rich, just because it's so iconic. I mean, if you've seen it already, you can judge for yourself if you'd want to sit through it again. If you've never seen it, I think you will be entertained. And part of it, as I said, it's that sort of everyone loves a good train wreck. You're kind of like, how did this run for so many years? Why were people crazy about this show? But, and to be fair, the performers are working their butts off. This is a very dance-heavy show. A big part of the interesting appeal of the show is the cat-like movements of the performers. It is a very stylized choreography. They are dancing each number in different styles and different ways. And so if you appreciate the art form of dance, that gives you an edge in appreciating this show, because we all know there's not much to the story. You're really watching just for the visuals of it.
All right. Well, Matt Palm's review is on OrlandoSentinel.com. And of course, he was up late night watching it, then writing it. So it's been a long night for him. So appreciate him being here. But for us, we're going to go ahead and push pause for today. Go to OrlandoSentinel.com/subscribe and support our work. We always do appreciate that. But for us, we're going to call it quits. Until next time, I'm Rich, Matt, and Katie. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Watch Orlando Sentinel Now live every weekday at noon on our Facebook page and on OrlandoSentinel.com.